Welcome to the Reddit Chronicles. Today we will be reading from Relationship Advice. Our first post is by Throwaway. My 33M wife 34F ex just died. He left a kid who isn't biologically either of ours. How do I talk to my wife about taking the kid in? So yeah, basically what it says on the tin. My wife Kara used to be married to a guy with which she has one kid, my stepdaughter Charlotte, 9. I've always wanted to be a dad, but I'm unfortunately unable to have kids biologically. So I've been treating Charlotte like my own daughter and showering her with love. After Kara and her ex broke up, he had his son Levi, 5, with another woman. Levi is not an affair baby. Kara's ex didn't even start seeing Levi's mom until a year after he and Kara got divorced. The other thing is that Charlotte loves her little brother so much, and obviously she's devastated about her dad. I think that staying connected with her brother will help Charlotte through the grief, and that staying with his sister will help Levi. The thing is, Kara absolutely loathes her ex. Their split up was on pretty much the worst of terms, and their divorce was the messiest I've ever heard of. She once told me that if it wasn't for Charlotte, she would have moved across the country and never thought about him again. I'm worried that she won't want to take in Levi because of his connection to her ex. I don't know to talk to Kara about potentially stepping up to take Levi in, or if she might be gravely insulted if I brought this up. I know that Levi's not technically mine or Kara's problem, but he's an innocent child and Charlotte's little brother, and I would feel guilty if I didn't even try to take him in. Edit, since a lot of people have been asking. The reason that Levi's mom can't and won't take him is because she lost custody a while ago, and has no interest in fighting to get it back. I don't know why she lost custody, but I believe that she's on the sex offender registry for something quite serious. Our next post is by PY Gyms. My M28 engagement with my partner, F27, is ruined because of a ring. My partner and I have been together for 3 years. We both love each other since the very beginning. She has brought up the topic of marriage for a while. So I decided I proposed to her last month in Korea where she grew up. I custom-made the gold ring with a ruby and 3 diamonds on each side, but asked my parents to make it with their regular jewelry shop they've been going to for a while, out of town. I also organized a professional photographer, then asked her to marry me in a traditional Korean village. She said yes, and everything went very smoothly, except that the ring was too big. She stayed a bit longer in Korea while I returned home for work. She went with her mom to a jewelry shop the following week, and asked the ring to be made smaller. The issue started when the shop attendant said the whole ring was fake. The gold, ruby, and the diamonds. I paid $1,500 for the ring. Not a crazy amount, but I thought it was a pretty ring. She went to 4 different shops and everyone said pretty much the same thing. One shop valued the ring at only $30 to $40. My partner and her mom were understanding at first, saying that we would not have known. When she came back from Korea, she told me that her parents were very upset about the ring, and that my parents, because they made the ring, only valued her $30. They refused to meet my parents, which was initially organized for the end of the year. Her mom said to her that it would be better if I admitted about the fake ring, with a view of buying a proper one in the future. These implied that we gave her a fake ring on purpose. My parents were very upset and told me that they won't bless our marriage. Question, is the ring really the problem here? I am not sure how to move forward now. I never knew a ring can potentially break our 3-year-long relationship. Edit. None of us knew it was fake. A few days ago, I tested it with an X-ray at a pawn shop. The gold is real. Not sure about the ruby and diamonds. I have apologized multiple times and showed them the receipt. We are both Asians. Families play a big role in our marriage. Our next post is by Silver Jack. My boyfriend and his kids have no respect for my things and I'm getting fed up. 30F, 54M. Recently, his 3 teenage daughters moved in with him permanently. We do not live together, but I stay at his house on weekends. I live on my own and I do a lot of online shopping, especially at Sephora. I gave his daughters a perfume each that I bought but never really wore. But now he's telling me that they would really appreciate it if I would actually take them shopping at Sephora, which I probably would do, but we're still getting to know each other. Me and his girls, and I don't want them to pretend to like me just because I buy them things. They've also almost finished all my creams, perfume, and lip products that I left at his place, and he told me that's his fault because he told them they can use my stuff. Which is fine, but why didn't he ask me first? I would have said yes. The fact that he made that decision without asking is what's making me mad. I've also noticed that I've been paying every time we go out. He uses to offer to pay, but now it's like he just expects me to do it. Lastly, last night his youngest daughter decided to take a bath and she used the entire bottle of shower gel, 600 milliliters, that I left there. And his response was, he's sorry, but it's just a shower gel, I can get a new one. Shouldn't he at least offer to replace it for me? How would this make you guys feel? I'm not sure if I'm the one that's being unreasonable. Update. Thank you to everyone that's been answering. Didn't think this post would get this much attention. I do want to mention that I don't pay for everything. I do pay for me and him when we go to restaurants, but he does pay for drinks and food when we're at his house. Since it's Valentine's Day today, and we do have weekend plans, I do want to have a conversation with him, and try to set some boundaries. Depending on how that goes, I'll make a decision regarding our future. Our next post is by Soz4 Midas. My friend, 19M, makes his girlfriend, 20F, degrade herself in front of us. I'm worried for her and don't know what to do, all fake names. This is really long, I'm sorry. I just need outsider perspectives and where else to turn but for the opinions of Reddit. Carter and I have been friends since we were about 11 or so. We've gone through friendships groups together, life events, etc. I'd consider him my best mate. He's never been particularly lucky with girls. He had a girlfriend back when we were 14, but it was more the friends with a label thing you do when you're kids. So when Carter started telling us all about this girl he's been seeing, we were all hyped for him. He was gushing about her non-stop, and eventually, of course, he asked if we'd meet her. When we first met Sophie, she was immediately a little off. Carter had told us that she was super shy, so we shouldn't be offended if she didn't really talk to us, but it was next level. The whole time we were out, she was clinging onto Carter's arm. She said maybe a maximum of 3 words the entire time, and she never looked anybody in the eyes. Her head was constantly down. She looked like she was always on the brink of tears, and always stood slightly behind Carter, like hiding behind him. I didn't say anything because I figured she was just even more shy than he had explained. For the next little while, he'd bring Sophie along, and she was always just as strange, always glancing to Carter before she spoke, when she spoke at all, and hiding behind him. Eventually, I did ask him about why this was, and he told me that she has BPD and anxiety, and is super attached to him, feels nervous speaking to anyone that isn't already her friend, etc., to the point she can't even answer her phone without nearly throwing up over it. But he said this all in a very positive tone, which I thought was odd, though I brushed it off. This is when I started to become a little unnerved though. Carter told me that she was so attached to him and so desperate to keep him around, that she would do basically whatever he wanted without questioning it. He told us the next time he bought Sophie with us, he'd prove it. And he did. When we next went out with Sophie, he randomly stopped her from walking and told her to sit like a dog right on the floor. She hesitated, looked around at us, back at Carter, then went to go and do it before he burst out laughing and told her not to make a fool of herself. She looked embarrassed as hell, and everyone laughed, admittedly, me included. Throughout the evening he kept telling her to do weirdly demeaning things. Each time they were getting worse and worse. At one point he told her to hit herself, and again she went to do it, but he grabbed her hand. Everyone was laughing every time, and I suppose Carter was getting a bit of a kick out of making everyone laugh at Sophie's expense. When she went home, he told us that he told us so, and that she would always jump if he said jump. This began to happen every time we went out. He'd tell her to do all these different things, and every time she looked shaky and looked like she was about to cry, but she would always go to do whatever he asked, until he stopped her and told her to stop it, like he was scolding a child. The novelty wore off, and it quickly became more and more uncomfortable the more he did it. It became clear Sophie wasn't in on this joke. For whatever reason, she really did want to appease whatever he demanded, even if it meant making a fool of herself. After a few weeks of this, we were telling him to cool it. Nobody was laughing anymore. So he kept trying to get her to do more and more outrageous things. I kind of chalked what he was doing up to this being his first ever relationship. He was giddy, he was riding a high. So as much as I thought he was being a bit of an ass, I didn't think too hard on it. The final straw for me came the other night. We were all at Carter's house watching the game, and Sophie was downstairs hanging out with his grandma. Halftime came, and we started talking about how hungry we were. We ordered some food. As we were ordering though, Carter started calling out Sophie's name. She came outstairs and still didn't really say much. Carter turned to her and said, "Go make me a sandwich, ham and cheese." Everyone in the room went kind of silent and Sophie just stood there wide-eyed like she didn't know how to react. She said one word, "Really?" and he sort of flicked his head up in a dismissive go type of way. And off she went. We were all sort of stunned by this, and the atmosphere in the room got really quiet. Nobody knew what to say. I think everyone was taken aback. But Carter went on commenting on the game like nothing had happened, so we moved on. A few minutes later, and we hear someone coming up the stairs. Carter turned to us, a huge grin on his face, and told us to watch this. Sophie comes in, plate in hand, and gives it to him. As she's turning around to leave, he says her name once more. "One last thing. Take your top off. Strip." Sophie looks straight up appalled when she turns back to face us, and honestly so did the other guys. Everyone's mouth was wide open in shock, other than Carter, who had a huge smirk on his face. Sophie shakes her head ever so slightly and is biting her lip hard, seeming nervous. Carter urges her, "Go on," and I can definitely see tears in her eyes. But she listens and starts reaching for her top from underneath, shaking like crazy while she does it. She gets it about halfway up until again, like he always does, Carter tells her to stop and put her top back down, laughing away. He thanks her and she leaves to go back downstairs, looking visibly shaken. The rest of the night no one said a word to one another until we went home. I haven't spoken to Carter since. I haven't spoken to the other guys either. I don't know how to go about bringing it up or what to do. What started as admittedly mean-spirited joke has spiraled into something so much more. I don't know why Sophie is so willing to do anything for Carter like this. I understand the attachment thing he said, but she's willing to do things that make her visibly uncomfortable and upset for him. I can't explain that. I'm disgusted with Carter right now. It feels like he's levering her obsession with him, and it makes me worried for her. I don't know if he's just doing this to be a show-off or if he does similar things when it's just them. I honestly don't have a clue. I don't know what to do, how to confront him about how uncomfortable this all is, etc. And I know I can't ask Sophie if she's okay. She barely even responds when I say hi to her, let alone anything else. Edit. Since everyone is pointing it out, admittedly, I didn't really see what he was doing as abusive. Being a jerk, yeah for sure, but not abusive. I am taking the comments on board, that's why I posted after all. And I understand all the views saying I'm contributing, etc. Again, I didn't view it that way, but having all these responses has definitely made me realize. I'm not replying to comments just yet. I'm out at dinner, but I will as soon as I'm back. I accept fault for not doing anything at the time. Thank you for listening to the Reddit Chronicles. Follow for more content.